All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Kadash, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and Shalom to the brothers out here pushing his truth and sincerity, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. And funny enough, I just found another article today, even though this was like 2 days ago, about more climate change, and this is probably going to be one of the big topics eventually, if this goes any worse than what it is now. Now it's talking about Chinese, U.S., and Indian response to the climate emergency report. Mind you, I just did a video about Europe going through the same problem, whereas the whole entire globe is going through a whole climate change, and it's not for the good. I mean, it's not getting any better. Over a period of time, it's been getting worse and worse, and that's because Esau has never been a good host to this whole this world, and the Lord is actually showing His power through it all. Now you're going to start seeing earthquakes happening in different areas, fires happening in different areas, tsunamis, tornadoes, you name it. Everywhere is going to get hit where they usually don't ever get hit. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video for a bit. Not going to play the entire thing, but just the main point.
Nations around the world have been reacting to that UN landmark climate report that issued a code red for humanity. Experts agree that without big reductions in global carbon dioxide emissions, the world cannot win the fight against climate change. China.
And funny enough, they say this is basically for all. It's a code red for all of humanity. And with carbon monoxide, that's even from your cars, or pollution, or it's the smoke from industrial buildings and stuff like that. And they're saying that we can't win against it. So the thing is, that way, in order for it to work, you had to shut down all of America. You had to shut down China and various other places. Funny enough, because then that means people can't work and all that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the reasons where it leads to. But we automatically know that the Babylon itself is going to be shut down anyways. But it's no wonder how, as of lately, I'm talking about even before, even this week, I'm talking about even months. For the past couple months now, every day I've been getting something from my phone talking about weather advisory. Every day. And I'm sitting here wondering, why am I keep getting this? We know the weather is bad over here, but now we're starting to see it. The weather is getting worse and worse. And I wouldn't be surprised that when it gets really cold, if it does to that degree, some things might be completely frozen. But the crazy part is, you get summers even in the cold. You get summers in the winter, the fall even. A couple of years ago, all year round for where I live, it's been hot. And then all of a sudden, the next year afterwards, it just snows. And then a year after that, it's back to being hot all year round. So the weather doesn't make sense. But it's not because it doesn't make sense. It's because it's out of control. Because Esau keeps digging into the ground, taking the blood out of the earth, and it's making everything worse. It's the same thing with us. You take too much blood out of us, we won't function right. We'll be off balance. Our equilibrium wouldn't work. Our organs would shut down. And then the nutrients from our body, gone.
Is the world's largest emitter of carbon dioxide, followed by the United States and India. In a moment, we'll hear from our correspondent Barbara Pletasher in the US and Dan Johnson in Delhi. But first, here's Robin Brandt in Shanghai.
China is the world's most populous nation, and for some years now, it's also been the world's most polluting nation. Rapid economic growth here over the last 20 years, fueled by plentiful coal, means that China is now the world's biggest emitter of carbon dioxide. It's responsible for more than 1/4 of all the greenhouse gas emissions on the planet. Half the coal burned in the world is burned here, and it's going up. China says it won't hit peak coal use for a further 5 years. Its president, Xi Jinping, says that by 2030, it will hit its peak in terms of carbon emissions. It will be a further 30 years to 2060 until he says this country will be net zero on carbon emissions. China is, though, gradually changing its energy mix. It's investing a lot, in particular, in solar. It wants and needs cleaner, less polluting air for its people. The government says the world should have full confidence in its climate plan. But it's clear that Beijing doesn't want to endanger, as it sees it, its economic powerhouse by weaning itself off of coal too quickly.
Funny enough, the natural use of this world is being used for the wrong things. It's actually being used to turn against the earth. But that's just the crazy thing about it. It's like, because it's everything that is happening is through the Lord that's doing it. So I went to decide to look up this climate change because I was curious, because I kept hearing it for years, but everybody usually ignores it. So when you go into the climate change, it says it includes both global warming driven by human-induced emissions of greenhouse gases and the resulting large-scale shifts in weather patterns. Warmer temperatures are increasing rates of evaporation, causing more intense storms and weather extremes. And certain areas been hit with storms. Certain areas been hit with a lot of fires. Certain areas been hit with a lot of tornadoes, because I've seen quite a few tornadoes, as far as on YouTube, as far as of this year, that a lot of places have been hit with. So I was like, okay. So I was like, what are greenhouse gases? And greenhouse gases, it says is a gas that absorbs and emits radiant energy within thermal infrared range, causing the greenhouse effect. The primary greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere are water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone. Now, I was curious about it because I was like, that sounds like the greenhouse is destroying the ozone layer, which in conclusion is correct, because it says another group of greenhouse gases includes chlorofluorocarbons. It says, which they pronounce as CFC. So it says the CFC has been responsible for depleting ozone layer as they attack and destroy ozone molecules. The resulting ozone holes let harmful ultraviolet radiation in and add to greenhouse effect. So, funny enough, as I was thinking, it was just destroying the ozone layer, which means this, as they like to say, the sun's harmful rays is just beaming down through the ozone layer. It's just revealing all sorts of problems. Now the Earth is actually emitting gas that can kill anything in its path. And this is the results. Hotter temperatures, more extreme weather, extreme heat, extreme cold. More extreme heat than anything. Earthquakes, fires, tsunamis, you name it. Because as I was mentioning yesterday in one of the videos, from when I was a kid, they would show a clip of a patch of ice from the land was shifting to the water. Now, as we know that this is common sense. When ice touches the water and it starts to get warm, it turns into more water, which means the water raises and causes more problems. And if you could drain the water, that causes more problems too. But the water is not having a level status. Now the water is raising. Now more chunks of ice is going into the water and evaporating, or should I say melting into more water. And that causes all sorts of problems. Because now it's lacking what it needs, just like the earth is lacking what it needs, which is the oil. Because Esau is constantly draining the oil out of the earth. And this is what you get. This is what these people here is always trying to defend. Is Esau. They always trying to defend Esau. But meanwhile, he's the one that's causing these problems for the earth. Meanwhile, he's going to other countries bombing people and children. Meanwhile, he's the same one taxing you to work in these same buildings that create this carbon dioxide. Meanwhile, y'all still had to come out here in a code red or code orange when it's clearly telling you that you shouldn't come out in the first place. But people get heat strokes. People die in the earthquakes. People die in the fires. Losing homes. And this is what happens when you let these rulers stay in business. Like this has been the kingdom of heaven. If Esau was allowed to rule or have any sort of so-called freedom to do anything, it would be complete utter chaos. And that's what this has been turning into. Sorry. So I decided to go into the word climate. Because when you listen to climate change, you don't think much of it. But after reading this, and it made me think about it, climate just makes it seem like it's just always warm. So the definition of climate, it says a region of the earth having specified climatic conditions. Okay. I was like, okay, what is that supposed to go into? But when you look under it, it says his physician advised moving to a warmer climate. I'm like, okay, now it's starting to really sound like it's just supposed to sound warm. It says the average course or condition of the weather at a place, usually over a period of years, as exhibited by temperature, wind, and velocity, wind velocity, and precipitation. A healthful climate, catch this, a warm, humid climate. Okay, so as you can see, you're talking about the prevailing sets of conditions as the temperature and humidity indoors. So as it is, now I'm gonna come back to the rest of it. As it is, it's just climate change just means warmer weather. And more warmer weather as it keeps going, as we see it over a period of time, means more extreme weather, hotter weather. So you would think, okay, yeah, this is basically all out hell. You not only have the people in general going against each other left and right, especially when it comes to World War III. Now you have the actual elements out here killing people. And this is all through the Lord doing it too. This is what the Lord said. This was going to be the greatest fall of any world war. Oh, the Lord meant it. This is Luke 21:11. It says, "And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilence." Now I'm gonna stop there because you're literally going to see earthquakes. You're literally going to see fire, tsunamis, you name it. But even with that, it says, and famines and pestilence. You're going to see a lot of diseases out here. Hell, aren't we stuck in one right now? Famine. Hey, these people don't seem comfortable. Last I checked, a lot of people have been getting put out of their homes as of lately. No one's working, or at least now they are, but it's not as heavy. People trying to get back to work, but now they gotta sit home because they either caught the virus or they don't want to go back because of the virus. And now the whole thing with unemployment all over the U.S. is being backed up because now they changed the narrative to where you have to actually show that you're applying and trying to get back to work in order to receive this money. And a lot of people's in an uproar because they haven't been receiving the money at all. That's been showing up a lot on the news feed lately. Is that people is angry that they're not receiving money from unemployment when they apply for it. But as of I think July 4th, they changed it to you have to actually show that you're actually submitting submitting for a job. And that's pissing a lot of people off. So we're seeing things as of lately escalate within especially these past couple of years, from BLM to the virus to this, and many more things are going to happen. Many more things are going to happen. It says, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be in heaven. Be from heaven. And these are great signs. We're seeing the time where people are not feeling comfortable or happy. We're seeing the time where people is starting to come into desperation. We're seeing the time where Esau is actually losing his power. Slowly but surely. And I know we say it all the time that we want to get out of here as fast as possible, because you bet we do. But I understand why the Lord waits. Mostly because, one, he doesn't know when he's supposed to come back. But two, because you get to actually sit there and appreciate how this devil is going to fall. How the pride of our people is going to fall. You actually get to sit there and actually think about it. And I'm sorry, not even think about it, but actually see it. The Lord is slowly scrutinizing these people. So this is Malachi 4:1. It says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly, shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that I shall leave them neither root nor branch. So yeah, we're coming to those times, and I specifically wanted to go into this because we're definitely seeing those times. We've seen even our people, the pride of everybody is starting to slowly burn. But when that day happens, when this place is literally being destroyed or caught on fire, oh, we're definitely seeing that pride literally diminish. But hell, we're starting to see that now. Hell, the fires is just an example. That's small compared to what the Lord is really going to show. The fires, which I forgot which state here, I think it was from North Carolina or South Carolina, I can't remember. But that fire, they just spread it and kept spreading, and none of the firefighters could do anything but retreat and pull the people, even people out of the state back. That's was power in itself. But take that times hell any number you want to the point that this whole entire place is going to end up with the same result. That's the crazy part. So now I wanted to come back into this one because it says for the third one, the prevailing influence or environmental conditions characterizing a group or period. So underneath it says a climate of fear, a climate of suspicion, a cultural climate of the 1960s. Okay, so when you read it, when I looked at the climate of fear and climate of suspicion, I can see that this is just a climate of chaos because everything's out of control now. This is a climate of fear, a climate of depression, a climate of anger, a climate of denial and delusion. I'm speaking on the ways of this place, of how the people is portrayed here, or in pretty much anywhere. It's where especially where there's prophets from not only just in Babylon but all over the world, protesting against the wickedness of all this, the lifestyle we have before us, until the Lord gets us out of this place. This is the climate of destruction that we're going to see. Because there's no climate of happiness, not yet, not until the kingdom, until the Lord brings the kingdom here. But when He does, that will be the good climate. We can actually enjoy warm weather without it feeling like we're going to be cooked to death. We can actually enjoy our children, the way we live. But in the way we live now, we can't enjoy none of that. That's why even here it says a climate of fear. And these people are definitely in fear. But it's not fully there yet. That's why the Lord's just slowly doing it. When that fear, a climate of fear really hits, these people are definitely is going to be screaming, hollering. How they already out here killing, even though that's been a thing left and right for many years. But people are going to literally lose their minds. And it will be funny. Now, it's already funny now. But that's pretty much all I have on that. So, Lord willing, this was edifying, at least a little bit. And with that, Shalom.